Hi there, hope you're all having a great start to the year. My name is Seth McFarlane. I'm a first year biology student with an extensive knowledge of biology, and I have a passion for medicine, physics, biology, and sometimes mathematics. You may have seen my last reaction video. If you haven't, I recommend checking it out. I provide tons of context as opposed to many other reaction channels that just sit there and watch the damn video without reacting. But today we are going to be looking at what if Earth got kicked out of the solar system? Rogue Earth. This is probably going to be quite existential and is going to end quite sadly. I'm going to take a guess here and say that it has something to do with a large rogue planet or smaller rogue. So a large rogue planet, say like a Jupiter-sized planet that is, flying through space, not in an orbit around its own star, or a star that is flying through space, not no star is static, nothing is static in the universe. But a star that is basically careening through space and comes very close to our solar system, maybe even enters the Oort cloud, maybe even comes closer than the orbit of Uranus or Neptune, and messes things up for us heavily. Let's see how right I am or how wrong I am. Drop a like.
The night sky seems peaceful and orderly. But in reality, stars are careening through the galaxy at speeds of hundreds of thousands of kilometers per hour. Not bound by static formations, but changing neighborhoods constantly. Fortunately, space is big, and so the stars of the Milky Way are very unlikely to hit us.
This actually brings to mind the idea of a hyperdrive or something like that was brought up in Star Wars. I've never watched Star Wars, but the basic question was if you were to do FTL faster than light travel, you wouldn't have an ability to control your ship. You would just go in a straight line and you would have to hope that you don't crash into anything. My own addition to this is that you would have to hope that you don't come within the gravitational influence of something massive like a black hole or a neutron star. Because should you come within that sphere of influence, your path would be cast off, similar to I feel like what they're going to show here. And you're not gonna have a very good time, in short.
Unfortunately, they don't have to hit anything to make us have a really bad time on Earth.
Sphere of influence.
And there are already stars starting to get very close.
The monkey has a phone this time. Wow.
To understand how dangerous stars are to us, we need to talk about gravity. Gravity attracts every piece of matter to every other piece of matter in the universe. You are attracted by an atom a million light years away and vice versa. Luckily, this force gets weaker over distance, and it also depends on how massive something is. So things that are close and are very massive are more attractive, winning the cosmic tug of war. This way, massive things define how smaller things behave around them. The Sun makes up 99.75% of all the mass in the solar system, and so it shapes the behavior and orbits of everything else in it.
That's absolutely insane. I just want to go back to that illustration quickly. So, we as humans like to think of physics as having an absolute position. Absolute position does not exist. Relative position is all that ever exists because you might think that you're standing on it from your frame of reference, right? Is what people call it in physics. From your perspective, you are standing on a plane in which you can move in 3 dimensions and the world is flat from your point of view. However, that's not even close. The world is a sphere that's rotating while also orbiting around a star which is also orbiting around a galaxy which is also careening at hundreds of thousands of kilometers per second throughout the cosmos. Our galaxy is actually on a journey to collide with the Andromeda galaxy, and although probably none of us will live to see it, it will create a spectacular show in the night sky. I'll put it on screen if I don't forget.
The Sun makes up 99.75% of all the mass in the solar system, and so it shapes the behavior and orbits of everything else in it. Billions of years ago, after the Sun was born, the solar system was a chaotic and dangerous place as the planets were formed from countless little pieces that collided constantly. But over the eons, a stable balance emerged. Today, most planets and asteroids have settled into safe and predictable orbits. We have the inner and outer planets, the asteroid and Kuiper belt, and at the edge, the Oort cloud, a giant sphere of comets orbiting slowly in cold storage.
Yeah, so the Oort cloud is basically the border of the solar system. People like to think of the Kuiper belt, I guess, or the orbit of Pluto. I still think of Pluto as a planet. Fight me. Um, the Oort cloud is unimaginably massive, and it's the origin of where all of our comets come from. As you can imagine, it's very far from the sun, so it's very cold. So it's full of ice particles, not necessarily, and very very cold particles. However, they are still within the gravitational influence of the sun, which keeps them within the sphere. Oort cloud is massive, dude.
We really don't want this balance to be disturbed. If another star came too
Ooh.
close to us, its gravity would pull on everything in the solar system like a spoiled toddler, messing
Like a spoiled toddler.
up the pleasant order of the planets and asteroids and comets. This isn't some imaginary danger. Some 70,000 years ago, a red dwarf-brown dwarf binary system passed through the Oort cloud and messed things up. It might even have sent a deadly onslaught of asteroids our way. But it could take 2 million years until those visitors from the Oort cloud arrive in the inner solar system.
Okay, 2022. Wait, what is that number? 2,022. Oh, yeah, okay. 420. Nice, guys. Nice. I see. Yeah, these kinds of timescales, we really don't need to worry about these things because we will have developed technology by that point to prevent these asteroids. Whether it's by manipulating gravitons, which we will discover, or we will find a unified theory of everything, or whether it's through actually destroying the asteroid as it comes into Earth. So the Oort cloud does not consist only of particles of ice, but of asteroids, of course, as well, that are held in by the sun's sphere of influence.
But there's a much bigger problem on the horizon. Gliese 710, a red dwarf with about half the mass of the Sun, is currently headed towards the solar system.
Oh, goodness
In about
gracious.
a million years, it'll pass through the Oort cloud and become the brightest star in the night sky. A close flyby like this would unfold over hundreds of thousands of years, disrupting the orbits of millions of objects in the Oort cloud considerably. If we're unlucky, it will trigger a new period of planetary bombardment similar to the early solar system.
Ooh.
The night sky could be filled with comets and asteroids raining down on the inner solar system. The larger ones could cause dinosaur-level mass extinctions and would be bad for the stock market.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? Bad for the stock market? Yeah, I can imagine, because no human would live on Earth anymore.
But it could get much worse.
Life would be exterminated in the solar system completely.
The galaxy is an intense place, and stars get close to each other regularly. So it is possible that a star could come much closer and not just pass us, but fly directly through the inner solar system.
Oh no.
This would be very bad in the extreme.
Not only considering the heat that it would bring in, which would make Earth extremely hot, it's a star. It's a massive object, and it is going to pull on the planets and create chaos and disturb the balance that, as they said, has developed over millions of billions of years.
The chance of another star colliding with the Sun is astronomically unlikely, but that isn't what we're worried about. If another star were to pass by about as close as the Earth is from the Sun, it could easily eject the Earth from the solar system.
Ooh.
The odds of such an event are estimated to be around 1 in 100,000 in the next 5 billion years.
That seems quite small. However, on a universal time scale, and if humans live that long, that that that's not impossible. That's not even nearly close to impossible.
Small, but not absurdly so.
Yeah.
As we discussed in another video, there seem to be billions of rogue planets doing their own thing in the galaxy, and this is one way to make them. So if this were to happen with an average red dwarf, what would happen on Earth?
Death.
Kicking Earth out of the solar system. As the star enters the solar system, a small orangish dot appears in the sky that grows bigger and bigger for months, eventually becoming visible during the day.
Oh
It
no.
would get bigger
I think at this point we would know what's going on, and people wouldn't be walking their dogs outside. I mean, there's not really much you can do. If the Earth gets kicked out of the solar system, our only source of power is the sun. So the only way people would be able to survive would be going deep, deep underground and living off of the energy produced by fusion of elements in the Earth's core. That's where geothermal energy comes from. That's why I think it's Iceland. Iceland because it has such. I think it like Iceland has a massive amount of tectonic plate activity. That is why I think recently they have eliminated all forms of fossil fuels and are living completely off of renewable energy. It's gonna be around for billions of years. It's clean. It's better than coal, oil, and gas by thousands of times.
and much brighter than the moon. Too bright to look at directly.
Get underground, people. What are you doing looking at it? You are the guys who go out and see the seafloor when you see the tsunami. Like before a tsunami occurs, the water recedes and the seafloor is seen. And although this is very interesting and we would all love to see it, if you want to survive, you gotta run.
The night sky would be filled with an eerie red glow. After a few months, it would start shrinking again. But so would the sun. Over a few years, the sun slowly grows smaller in the sky, and with it warmth and light start to dissipate. All around the world, as the days turn dark, the final winter of humanity would begin.
The final ice age that lasts forever.
The polar ice caps begin to grow and spread, while plants shrivel and die. Forests freeze, and animals die in droves. As the Earth passes the orbit of Mars, the average surface temperature has plummeted to near minus 50 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, at this point, there would be no living organism on the surface of Earth. Like, unless some mystical source of power would be. I mean, I don't know how cold Antarctica is. I know it's obviously below 0 degrees Celsius. I think it's somewhere between like -20 and -25 degrees Celsius. Don't quote me on that. But it would be very difficult. Like the majority of the population would die off. End of story.
From space, Earth begins to look like an icy moon, the blue-green surface becoming the pale grey-white of death.
Oh dear.
As global infrastructure breaks down, people huddle together indoors, burning what they can for warmth as the temperature continues to drop, counting the days until they'll be
Okay, so people are still alive on the surface, but their days are definitely numbered. And I think everyone knows it at this point. Yeah, at least they're holding out though. At least they're holding out. Respect for these people.
out of food which no longer grows. Everybody living at the surface is living on borrowed time. By the time Earth reaches Jupiter's orbit, surface temperatures sink to minus 150 degrees Celsius.
We are now getting quite close to absolute zero. Oh no.
Lower than the coldest ever recorded temperatures in Antarctica.
Wait, what? Minus 150 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I was way off. That is insane. That's insanely cold. I didn't. Damn.
50 degrees Celsius, lower than the coldest ever recorded temperatures in Antarctica. Needless to say, by now, almost everyone is dead. Without the energy from sunlight to evaporate water, clouds don't form and the water cycle stops. The polar ice caps eventually touch at the equator and the oceans become covered in a thick layer of ice.
Now you see that little chord over there. That's our only hope. That is literally our only hope. I wonder, would the atmosphere freeze? I mean, eventually, of course, it would, because we would reach like probably 3 degrees Kelvin. Like, as we're going through empty space, interstellar space, we would match the temperature of that space, regardless of the surface and the atmosphere would reach the temperature of outer space. So, I'm pretty sure carbon dioxide, etc., nitrogen would start to actually not only turn into liquid, it would solidify and fall as snow, which is kind of crazy to think about.
As more
Have any of you seen solid hydrogen? Let me know in the comments.
and more of its heat leaks out, more water freezes onto the bottom of the ice sheet, the concentration of salt in the deep ocean grows, poisoning most animals that survived here.
Except the extremophiles. We know those extremophiles they're gonna live on for a long, long time. Damn. Oh, the marine biologists. I feel sorry for you guys watching this video. Damn, this must not be easy to see.
Although around hydrothermal vents, communities of extremophiles might adapt even to these circumstances.
But cold
Deep
today.
below the surface, some bacteria would not notice much of any of this, as they're still kept warm by the radioactive decay of elements in the Earth's core.
Okay, yeah, so it's not fusion of elements in the Earth's core, it's radioactive decay. So fusion would be what happens in the core of a star, where a star is so massive that the gravitational energy pushes together atoms of helium so hard, atoms of hydrogen so hard that they fuse into helium, giving off tons and tons and tons of energy. However, in the Earth's core, it's a bit different. There are radioactive elements in the Earth's core, and they will stay hot for billions of billions of billions of years. Right? So they will put off all of this heat, all of this energy, similar to the way you would imagine nuclear waste. Nuclear waste stays hot for a very, very long time. Fission products stay hot for a very, very long time because they are still undergoing radioactive decay, as stated here. And of course, the core would be full of the heaviest elements because when the Earth formed, the heaviest elements would fall to the center. Right? There would be a higher concentration of things like uranium the deeper down you go, because the heavier stuff would want to be lower, whereas the lighter stuff would be on top. Simple definition of density. Am I wrong? I don't know.
As the Earth reaches the orbit of Pluto and the Kuiper Belt, the Sun is still the brightest star in the sky, but it's one among many, with stars now visible during the day.
Visible to who, though? No one's seeing this. I see we still have an atmosphere. Is it gonna rain down? Was I correct?
Temperature is now barely 40 degrees Celsius above absolute zero, below the freezing temperature of the gases in the atmosphere.
Yep.
A weird spectacle, enjoyed by no one unfortunately, unfolds as the atmosphere turns into nitrogen and then oxygen snow. Over a few years, it's deposited into an icy 10-meter thick sheet all over the planet's surface, with only a thin whisper of gas remaining.
Solid nitrogen. That is... I wonder if that's ever been made. I wonder if that's ever been made in the lab, like solid nitrogen. Because liquid nitrogen, as we all know, LN2, very cold. It's what we use to, like, it's one of the coldest, most common things that we use to make things cold in scientific laboratories. Solid nitrogen, I think, is something that I don't think anyone has ever been able to create or synthesize, because you would need ironically, you'd need extreme amounts of energy to remove all of that kinetic energy from the atoms and get them that cold. Temperature is just atoms bouncing around. So temperature is just movement, right? The slower the atoms move, the less they bump into each other, the colder we experience it on a macroscopic scale.
The frozen corpses of flora and fauna are buried beneath them. As Earth leaves the solar system, it becomes a rogue planet, traveling alone through the dark, lifeless and in solitude. But weirdly enough, there is hope.
Oh,
Humanity would not be surprised by this potential extinction event.
exactly. That's why I was like, why are these people walking their dogs and staring at it? Get underground, guys. Start building bunkers.
We'd notice it thousands of years in advance. There's not a lot we could do to stop a star, but we could prepare. Most of us won't perish, but a few million could survive in huge artificial complexes powered by geothermal and nuclear energy, possibly even fusion if we can learn to use the ice around us for power. Here,
Okay, so we wouldn't exactly need to go down. Right now, if this happened on this very day, the only way we could stop it would be to dig down and live underground. Right? But obviously I guess we could make towers powered by geothermal energy, but like well, that seems unnecessary kind of in a way.
humanity might survive for hundreds of thousands of years. At some point, we would become used to our circumstances, and new generations would watch documentaries in disbelief about the time we had our own star and could walk the surface of Earth. And at some point, we might decide to look for another home. If the Earth were lucky enough to pass by another star with a habitable planet, we could try to make a fresh start. Spaceflight, oddly enough, would become very easy without the atmosphere in the way. So it's not unthinkable that the last
I thought they were gonna say we. I thought they were gonna say we would like somehow move the Earth into the orbit of the asteroid, asteroid into the orbit of the star. No, we would just leave the Earth. Bye bye Earth. You've served us for 4.5 billion years. Bye bye. We need to resettle. We need to colonize, as all humans do. Colonization is actually a very ubiquitous trend throughout history.
survivors would leave Earth behind and try again on a new planet around a new star. Maybe one day, thousands of years later, the descendants of humanity will tell legends about Earth's ancient past. Stories of our lost home, of a
Some people may not even believe this. Like, we have climate change deniers, and if we have flat earthers today, some people will not believe that we lived on another complete different planet. They'll say it's ridiculous. There's no way. There's no evidence. There's no proof. I pray for those. I pray for the scientists that will have to deal with that nonsense. And I hope the records of us living on Earth lasts over those tens of thousands of years, because we've made some truly, truly amazing accomplishments within the last 10,000 years of us being an agricultural slash modern civilization.
mysterious icy planet, floating alone and empty through the dark of space.
Forever.
So basically, the key to humanity's survival is learning about what we'll be dealing with. Well,
Brilliant.
we'd better get cracking then. Our friends from Brilliant are the
It's always brilliant. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. I hope I provided sufficient insight. As I said earlier, if you liked the video, drop a like. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. I'm always looking to improve. I know the last one was quite soft, so I turned up my volume in OBS, and I'm hoping that we can gosh, why is my mind blocked? I'm hoping we can establish a better relationship with each other as subscriber and creator. That's something I've never heard anyone say. I'm waffling. Anyways, bye guys. Enjoy your new year. Cheerio.